Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial. If you're new to my channel, I am Sami Culture. So without much ado, let's get right into it. Please, if you found my information helpful, like, share and subscribe. So first things first, we are cutting a trouser with side splits. So what you want to do now, you measure 1 inch. You take 1 inch up, we're cutting it like a normal trouser. You take 1 inch up. For the length that I'm using, you can see it on your screen. So give me 38. Then I'll add about 4 inches. 4 inches for the sewing allowance. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So before measuring any other thing, so that we have a side split come out perfectly. So what you're going to do is you measure about 1.5 or 1 inch. But I usually like doing about one quarter. So you just measure 1 quarter all the way down. So after drawing it out like this, the next thing you're going to do now is to bring out your tie. Now your tie measurements is the tie divided by 2. So my own is 28 and I'm going to do it 14. I really like giving about ½ inch allowance because of like when weaving, machine sometimes cuts parts. So you can do yours 14 or add extra ½ inches so that for more breathability, and after sewing and everything it fits perfectly. I'm just going to do it like this and mark. See where I'm marking, took about 2 inches here, left about 2 inches outside and mark from 2 inches. Mark it to go up. So the next thing now we're going to do is our crotch. How do we get our crotch measurements? For measurements of this size, I usually do it about 10 inches or 11 inches. But another way to get your crotch measurements is you divide your waist by 4. You divide it by 4, then add extra 2 inches. So let's say this one now, the waist is 33. So you divide 33. So after dividing 33, it gave me about 8 1/4. So if I add 2 inches to this now, that will give me 10 1/4. So you see it's kind of like same difference. But for this is a palazzo trouser, so I'm going to add extra ½ inches, doing it 10.5. So I've gotten my crotch. So in this point now, you're just going to give it a small curve, like so. In this place here, you remove about ½ inch here. And you take it all the way up. So moving on to the foot area now. My foot here is 20. So the 20 divided by 2, that is 10. So we mark 10 in this place. I'm just going to connect all this. So now to get the opening, I'm just going to take it out up about 7 inches from here, because after trimming I'm going to trim about 1.5 inch here, then fold another 1.5 inch. So I'll take it 7 from here. If you're finding it hard to understand, please let me know in the comments. And it's just simple, just follow the exact steps that I'm showing you and to come out nice. So that is 7 inches. So while cutting, we're going to come like this. So now, in order to connect these points to these points, either you measure the knee of your customer, so you know the wideness. But for me, I've sold countless clothes for this customer, so I know how to position my rail. But in your own case, please ensure to do that you measure the knee of your customer. So I'm just going to connect it now. So it's coming out nice. So once again, you check all your measurements, make sure that everything is making sense, because after cutting you can't adjust anything, or it's hard to adjust. So you make sure that you cut it once and you cut it right. So after examining that everything is okay, then you cut. So pay attention to this place. You just take it up from here. So it's coming out nice already. So you're going to measure about 3 inches here. Then about 2.5 inches in this point. And also for this place, you take it up like this. This point, you take it up about 2 inches or 2.5. I took mine up, raised mine up by 2 inches. Make sure that it stops at this edge. So you're going to measure 2 inches. And please, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. My camera angle is not the best for now, but focusing on what I have to show this tutorial. So please let me know in the comments and I'll respond to you immediately. So you take 2 inches, you measure 2 inches, that is for the allowance for the front and the back. So after everything, drawing out everything, then you cut. So finish cutting it. So the next thing now you're going to do is to do your notching. So I usually notch it about 7 inches. So notch 7 inches, and for the pocket side, doing about 2 inches, then about 7 inches. So we're almost through. So the next thing now you're going to cut is your flap. Cut your flap, your band and all that. Then you do for the back. I carry from this point about 4.5 inches. So now to cut the band, you measure like this. The waist divided by 2 is 16.5. So I'm just going to add about 7 inches. So I'm just going to count from 17. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I usually do it about 4.5 inches. That is for the wideness. So I'm just going to measure that. And use mark out the front and the back. So now the next thing you want to do now is to cut out your pockets. So the next thing now that you're going to do is to cut out your pockets. I'm going to use this Slit. So the measurement that you use for this is 14 by 14, so that when you fold like this will be 7 and this will be 14. So what you want to do now is to just from here the next thing now is the flap and the facing. No, I'm just going to use this to cut out the facing first. facing, you can just do it. It doesn't have a specific measurement. Just make sure that it's enough to cover. So this is our facing. And the next thing now, this is going to have back pockets. I'm just going to cut that out. So usually do about 7.5, then the length about 5 inches or 4.5 inches. So the next thing now is the flap. So you're just going to pay attention in this place very well. I'm just going to cut this out. This is the left side. I'm just going to cut this from here. I'm just going to trim it a bit. So this one, the length can be, if it's depending on how many your flap is. Like for me, as I did my flap or my crotch rather, 10.5. This one now can be around 10 or 9 or 9.5. Then the wideness for this should be about 3.5 inches or 3 inches. So that is for the left side. Then for the right side, where we'll place our zip, I like cutting mine like this. So this is for the zip. So the next thing now we're going to cut is the belt strap. So the belt strap is usually about 6. So you can do the measurements like 20, 28, 28 and or 24. And the wideness about 1.5.